Hi, my name is Father Avelino Gonzalez. I'm a priest of the Archdiocese of Washington, and I'm here to talk to you today about religious freedom in the Catholic Church. I want to do so by just highlighting or pointing out three basic points. And before I do so, I just wanted to say how lucky or how privileged we are to live in a country that has a constitution that defends religious freedom. And I'd like to read from the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which is pertinent to our discussion today. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now it goes on and on a little bit, but this is the most pertinent. I want to read this, or I think it's important to read this, so that we can become more familiarized with the language, which states nothing of separation of church and state. It's important to kind of look at the actual verbiage of the Constitution. The first point is religious freedom in the U.S. and the Catholic Church. We can't deny that although there is a constitution that defends religious freedom, that there has been religious persecution in this country. In the colonial period, the Catholic Church experienced persecution in the state of Maryland, for instance, which was one of the states where a lot of Catholics settled in. There was a point in time in the history of Maryland that a Catholic could not hold political office or could not own property. There was tension, of course, as sometimes there is, and this tension produced a monumental, I think, act called the Maryland Toleration Act, issued in 1649, which was one of the first laws that explicitly defined tolerance of varieties of Christianity in the U.S. It has been considered to be the precursor to the First Amendment. Point number two is the Catholic Church and religious freedom. What can we say with regards to the position of the Catholic Church and religious freedom? I think the most important thing to talk about is the developments that materialized during the Second Vatican Council, which occurred in 1962 to 1965. And there was a document produced in this monumental council called Dignitatis Humanae, a declaration on religious freedom that was championed by U.S. Jesuit Father John Courtney Murray. And basically, in a nutshell, it says many things, but in a nutshell, it says that every human person has the right, the civil right, to religious liberty and to practice religion in his own tradition and his own community with other people of the same mind and background and tradition. This really opened up all types of doors for persecuted minorities, and I think it's a milestone that we can all work from with regards to religious tolerance and freedom. The third point is the current state of religious freedom in the U.S. and the world. Historically speaking, we've done a lot in the last century and in the beginning of this century to work towards religious freedom. World governments today defend religious freedom, but we also know that this isn't the case for many nations. And so there's still a lot of work to do with regards to expanding religious freedom in many developing countries especially. We fear, though, today in the Catholic Church that there is a gradual chipping away at this foundational First Amendment of religious freedom. We feel that this is happening through a religious prejudice and also a religious narrative that paints the Catholic Church in a bad light. Also through unwise legislation, which has also taken away the conscience clause, which allows a Catholic not to violate his own religious tenets or his own conscience with regards to his religious identity and the way that he goes about his job. And there are some laws that are treading on this, and this is, I think this is a worry for the Catholic Church, and it should be a worry for all citizens of the U.S., because if religious freedom is slowly chipped away at and taken away, then this is a problem for, I think, all citizens. And I think this is probably the last point I want to make, and we can open it up to any questions if you like.
I do have a quick question, actually. So, Father Avelino, how does the Catholic Church balance this idea of embracing religious liberty and the plurality of religions that comes out of that with its kind of traditional idea of truth and the idea that that truth has to be lived or should be lived on a more global level?
That's a great question. I think, if I understand your question correctly, it has to do with how is it that the Catholic Church views its mission to evangelize in a pluralistic society with many different religious traditions, and I think that's a very good question. We live in a different world today as the world becomes more connected globally, the globalization and so forth. A pluralistic society with different religious backgrounds and different religions in that society it's a reality. How is it that we are to live our evangelization? Primarily by the way that we live our lives. We're called to holiness of life. The Second Vatican Council called all of the Catholic Church to universal holiness. And this is something that I think that if a Catholic lives out their call to holiness of life in a genuine way, embracing their Catholic identity, I think that's going to make the Catholic Church more attractive to other people in other religions. We also see today that there is a place for us to enrich our own Catholic tradition by looking at the other religions of the world. That's not to say that we should stop evangelizing through word and getting out through means of communication, getting out the Catholic message or the Christian message. But I think today, allowing for and recognizing that there is, to a certain degree, a necessity for a mutual enrichment, I think all of this adds to the possibility for world peace. If we can all work together towards world peace, enriching each other by our own traditions, I think that we'll be in a better place. Again, through holiness of life, that evangelization should be projected, and people are indeed coming into the Catholic Church because they find something that's attractive